Hello Sunshine, this is Joy from Michigan in the United States, and I am going to do a colorful berry type swipe for you today. I've worked on my color. If you watched my video from yesterday, you know I wasn't thrilled with my swipe color, although the painting turned out really beautiful. So I've remixed it. It's got a little more red in it. Really hard to see in the video, but I'm much happier with it now, so hopefully that will give us some different results. So I'm just gonna hop right in. I'm gonna give you guys a heads up right here at the beginning. I'm not gonna be able to put my colors in because I am using up some colors from ages ago. Some Deco Art craft paint that I had. So there's all sorts of different colors being mixed together to come up with the colors that I wanted. What I will do is tell you in the video here what I would have preferred to use, but I need to use up these paints. So I'm going to use up these paints. So this first color is just a light kind of lilac color. So what I would have done for this is add violet plus white, and then I like it to be a little shimmery, so I added some silver, although I don't think it's enough for you to really tell. Probably needed more silver. So you can kind of make your own metallic by adding metallics to this. So here we go, a little bit of lilac. I want to say this one had a really fun name. It was like Purple Cow or something. But then I added violet to it, and like I said, the silver and some white, maybe. See, I can't even remember everything I added. All right, so I think one of the things with using old paint that I would warn you against is you're gonna get goopers. They, you know, a little, especially the craft paint, it's gonna dry up in that tube. So when you're laying your color down, you really wanna watch carefully so you can hopefully get those out before you start tilting, so that you don't have to worry about that. So this next color is a combination of violet and Quinacridone Magenta. It's a very, I don't know, like almost grape or raspberry maybe. Raspberry. I'll call this one raspberry. So we're gonna throw some raspberry on here. This one and the light purple that I just put on, the lilac, they do not have any silicone in them. I'm trying to do thinner stripes this time. On my swipe yesterday, as much as I loved it, there were some areas that were really thick chunks of one color. And that's pretty, but not exactly what I want. So I'm trying to do lots of thin lines rather than a bunch of thick lines, if that makes sense. Get some on the corners here. If you've watched my videos, you know I don't stress too much about, oh, that was a lot of purple right there, Joy. I don't stress too much about my edges because I'll go back in and take care of those later if I need to. So I just want color on top of color on top of color for this one. So they're all very similar colors, so it's not like there's going to be a huge clash of colors, but hopefully they will blend, and not necessarily blend, but sit next to each other very pretty. This is Quinacridone Magenta, and I threw in some silicone in this one. I thought about lightening it up with a little white, but I decided against that. So it's just the Quinacridone Magenta plus silicone. And this, for this particular style of art, you really don't have to worry too much about what your lines are doing, because we're going to tilt it, we're going to move it around. So don't worry too much about where the paint falls, just whatever makes you happy. And don't worry about spots on the canvas that aren't filled in. We'll get there. All right, so this is one of my colors from yesterday. I want to say this is Cadmium Yellow, Gold, and maybe a little white. It does have silicone in it, so I'm going to go ahead and add that. And then my swipe color will have silicone as well, because I really want cells on this one. And then hopefully I can come through with a balloon. And I have to give a shout out to Jolie Cube for the color choices. This is based on her, I think it was called Fantasy and Whimsical acrylic pour, something along those lines. Might have mentioned that it was in a frame as well. All right, and then I'm gonna add, this was my favorite color from yesterday. It's my Golden Retriever Blonde. It has gold in it as well, no silicone in this color. And I really don't want huge chunks of this. I really should have done much thinner lines because I think that will give me more of the effect that I'm looking for. Look at that beautiful mess. I am going to add just a little bit more of the Quinacridone Magenta on the top because I feel like it got buried by the yellow and the cream. And if I have to tip a little paint off, I think I'd rather have too much than too little. I feel like too much is an easier problem to fix, I guess. So, all right, I think we're good for now. So we're gonna do a gentle tilt. Oh, that's a nice bit of paint on this. Just back and forth to start with. A little bit of up and down, but not too much. You kind of watch where the weight of your paint is so you can move that paint to where you need it to be to move the other colors. And then I'm just gonna kind of wobble it back down. And you can see I've got some wobbly lines, I've got some straight lines. I'm not worried. Not worried. I do need to come down a little bit. And this is nice, fairly thin paint, so I'm really not having any trouble getting it over the edges. And I think the other day, I don't remember if it was yesterday or recently, we'll just say recently, I did have a pour that the paint was kind of thick and I just couldn't get it to move the way I wanted it to. So that is not the case today. I've got a nice large amount of paint on this canvas and it's going right over the edges like I want it to. I am going to go ahead and finger pop my colors back in to the areas where there isn't coverage on my canvas. And you've heard me, if you've watched my other videos, you've heard me say this before, you don't have to worry about this. This is no biggie. You'll have plenty of opportunity with the paint that drips off to go back through and spread that color around. So see, it's really interesting too to see, like, it really looks like there's a ton of paint over here, but there's still sections of my edge here that are not covered with anything. So that's okay. We'll just go in and finger pop the color right back in where we want it. Oh, we missed this edge. For that, I might just, we're just gonna add a little bit of this Quinacridone Magenta, just because I do want my corners well covered. Like I said, nothing to stress about, but I would prefer that they be well covered. So, I don't think I have enough of this left for this corner, but I'm gonna try. I might be able to scrape a little bit out. For this corner right here, get a little bit of this, what did I call it, raspberry. There. I like to have the paint really continue its look over the side, even though a lot of times you won't get the cells, and obviously I'm not swiping the sides, so it's gonna have a different look than what we've seen before, or what we will see on the top of the canvas. But I think it'll still add to the art piece to have that finished edge. All right, so a little bit of craziness here. I'm gonna add, so we did berry, and then lemon. Let's add a little orange. A little bit of citrus to this. Not a lot, just a couple thin swizzles. There we go. And because I love the look of metallic, I'm also gonna do that with the silver. And I won't be tilting after this, so it just lands where it lands. Which is that's one of the fun things about this art form is it's so low stress. There's so little to worry about. Once you get, I was gonna say once you get the technique down, but even before then, it's just a fun art form. All right, so this is my new, what did I call it? Black cherry swipe color, which I love to do. So I'm gonna swipe straight down from the top. So that means I'm gonna use a little more of this swipe color than what I've used in the past. We don't wanna leave that stick in there. Okay. So I'm just gonna go across the top. And I've not poured out of this bottle before, so I may find that this is not ideal, but it's what I have for today. So, boy, this almost looks brown. It's not, I promise, it's not brown. Okay, that should be more than enough. So I'm gonna take my plastic, no, this is not a plastic file divider. You can tell how often I watch Jilly because that's what she says every time. This is my laminate sheet that I sealed on itself, and I don't know how far I want to go, so I'm trying to intentionally not. Oh, that seems bent. Let's go this way. We're gonna go this way. All right, so we drop it in, just barely kissing that paint. Make sure you get it all the way down, and then gently, oh, I put too much pressure on that. Okay, so I concerned myself, got myself all worked up because I had so much pressure on that and I was down to the canvas on that one end. So that's why this end didn't get covered and it kind of stopped halfway through. So I will switch to a smaller piece. Sometimes that just feels a little less intimidating. So we're gonna swipe it all the way and see, no worries. I can always fix it. Oh, I hate to go over those cells. They're so beautiful. They'll pop back up. All right, nice and gentle. And I do not even begin to try to keep my swipe tool straight, in a straight line. So I'll have some wavy lines in there and I'm okay with that. I honestly think it would be too stressful for me if I tried to keep it from having any kind of lines. And in my art room, stress is not welcome here. So we'll keep on with the wavy pour and wipe that off. Okay. I'm liking this so far, but I do want to give it a tilt this way, just real gentle, and a tilt this way, although the paint is moving in places that I'm not necessarily wanting it to, so this may not be the best move because it's gonna make my cells a little squee-jawed. Okay, I'm not sure I should have done that, but we'll see. And real quick, just gonna run a skewer through that. Oh, there's a hair. I don't know if that was on the skewer already or not. All right, here goes nothing. Little heat. It's kind of cold in my art room again today, so I'm not sure what these cells will do. And yesterday I have a little heater in here that I was able to turn on, but my art room is kind of tore up right now. And so I cannot turn that heater back on. It's so interesting. I don't know if it's because of the cold temperature out here. I mean, it's not as chilly today as it was yesterday, but it's in the 40s. The cells that I get are just tiny. Just itty bitty baby cells. So I'm really liking that there, and this I feel like I messed up. What can I do with that? I'm gonna re-swipe that, guys. Just that one little section, I'm gonna re-swipe because I've stretched the cells out and I've lost the dark edge that I like in this case. So no stress. My art room, my rules say it's time to re-swipe that. So let's just, and I don't want to hit these cells because I really, really like what I have going on there, but we're just gonna pop that down all the way down. And I am intentionally lifting up the one end. So this line came in on purpose because I like these cells here. I was trying not to hit those. All right, let me hit that with the heat. I like that better already. I cannot believe these little baby cells that I'm getting. They are so interesting. They're very colorful, but they're almost like the size of a pinprick. So we will see. We will see. Does this feel like berry to you guys? This feels very berry to me. All right, where did... It's so funny, these laminate sheets are clear, so I see something underneath them and try to grab them, and oh wait, that's underneath, not on top of. I am just going to swipe really gently here. And I may regret that, but what's done is done. Let's just go all the way. Little heat. Get some cells to pop up in that little red ribbon there. The burgundy, I guess it's probably Quinacridone Magenta. All right, we'll see what that does. I don't know if I like that better or not. But I learned my lesson yesterday. We'll see how long I can stick to that lesson. Don't scrape it. Leave it, let it sit, let it develop. See what you think. Don't let it stress you out. I'm seeing some canvas pop through here. I really wish I could tip this just a little bit, but I don't want to, yeah, see the weight of the paint is here, and that's not the section that I want to move. So I'm going to leave this. I can always do a little balloon down here where I'm just not loving the look, but for now, we're gonna let this one be. I'm gonna let it sit for probably close to an hour and then come back and do some balloon kisses. So I will take some photos and put those in between so you guys can see if you like this look, if you're looking at this going, this is perfect, this is right where you would stop. Don't feel like you have to go on to the next phase if this is what makes you happy. So your art room, your rules, and art is about what makes you happy and the journey and what art can teach you in the process. So thanks guys, I will take you down for a close-up. All right, guys, I am back with you. It is, like I said, a cold room, but it's been about an hour, just shy of an hour, and my edges are starting to look a little bit on the dry side. So I want to try to get this balloon work done before it's too dry. So this end here is too dry, which is okay because there's nothing really there that I dislike that much. I have this big balloon that I thought I should try to use, but this, I have to be honest, this one intimidates me a little bit because it leaves bigger mistakes. But let's try it. Maybe I'll just do a couple with the bigger one. Right here, let's try this. Oh, that one's pretty. All right, I feel like I'm getting a feel for it. But I think I want the rest to be little. Pull out my trusty little This is that same size balloon with very little air and a little bit of water in it so that it's got a little bit of weight. I don't want it to require a lot of force from me, so it kind of pushes itself down without a whole lot of help from me. And again, I don't move that balloon off to the side right away. That's why I'm kind of bent over, so I can see when it drips. Ooh, there's a lot of paint in that spot. That turned out pretty though. Let's try right here. Yeah, this paint is still very wet. In fact, it might be too wet. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. All right, I'm gonna give this a minute and watch to see how this paint reacts with the ballooning that I just did. So if your paint is too wet, what will happen is all these little lines of definition will fall in on themselves and you'll have no definition. If it's dry, you'll keep these lovely little flower looking things. So like even this looks like it's starting to just kind of turn into one big puddle. It's not terrible, but I'll watch it for a few minutes. I'll be right back with you and finish up the balloon work. All right, guys, I think that these are gonna be okay. So I'm gonna keep trying. I do feel like this one needs a little bit more work. Make sure you wipe off that balloon in between every time. All right, I tried something a little different on that one. I tried to twist as I lift, just to try to do something a little different. I don't know if it makes a pretty effect or not, but there we go, I tried. Just gonna rearrange some things here. See if I can't make this a little bit easier on myself. But I don't want that up on there. Okay. It really is one of those things that you just have to practice, 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 because it is really hard to perfect. Although I guess I'm sure there's people out there that this came very naturally to, and it just was, oh, I just pushed the balloon in and it looks beautiful. I'm not one of those people. It has taken me a while to feel confident. You know what, I don't really like this one where I spun, so I'm just gonna redo that one. Oh, that's pretty. That's pretty. That one turned out much better the second time. I don't like the spin because as the paint begins to kind of spread back out, it almost looks like you made a mistake. So I didn't love that one. There we go, that's pretty. There's this. So one thing that I'm finding as I do my balloon kisses, I used to find like, okay, I don't like this cell and I'd make that the center. If you find a cell or an area that you don't like and you leave it kind of on the edge of the balloon, like these cells here, it will pull that cell in and make it look like a petal. So you don't want that part you don't like to be the center, because it'll just end up removing it, which you could do that too, but you can use it to your advantage to make a beautiful little petal. So I feel like I've got like flowers here and over here is just lacking. So let's try. Yay, that paint was not too dry. I was a little bit worried. The edges seem to dry quickest. I'm sure because the paint kind of pools into the middle. So I don't know. Those are some pretty cells there, but I'm going to keep most of them. and add a little pretty firefly or fairy. I think I'm gonna call it a fairy on this one just because that makes me happy. Oh, I like that one. Yay, I'm glad I did that one. I like that dark purple there. So pretty. And hopefully I didn't do these too soon and they don't all fall in and lose their pretty definition. But I think it's okay. How about that one, guys? Oh, I feel like I'm finally getting the hang of this. Sliding door. Sorry about that noise. My alarm system's in this room and somebody just went outside. So it lets me know that the door opened. The nice thing too with having this little water balloon is you can really control, you can see like this one's pretty big, but this one's pretty small. So it depends on how much pressure you put on how big the flower gets, or the fairy. So sliding door. All right, just a minute, guys. I'll be right back. All right, guys, back with you. I think this is turning into a lovely little fairy garden. This right here is a little bit too blobby for me. I just want to take some of that white away. It still kind of has this big, let me just redo this one and see if we redo both, maybe they will, between the two of them, take that little white blob away. All right, I'm gonna redo this one. I think this paint is just a touch on the wet side, so probably I should have waited a little bit longer, but at this point we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to go for it. I don't know, guys, do you see a spot that I've missed that you think could be made better with a little fairy? How about over here? Just gotta check just a little. Oh yes, that one turned out nice. Let's try up here. Make sure. If you look at it at an angle, you can kind of tell how wet your paint is. And you do not want to do this on dry paint. Not for this kind of effect. I'm going to do that one more time. There we go. Just try to pick up some of that black and let those other colors shine through. All right, I wanted to transfer a little color there because I just feel like there's not enough. There we go. All right, I have to stop for a minute because it's really easy to just keep going. So I'm going to stop just for a minute. I say that and then I pick up my balloon. I still don't like this one. There. I had like a little cell in the middle of that yellow that just wasn't making me happy. I like this little guy right here, this little fairy. So I think I'm going to call this one my fairy garden. I like it. Bunch of little fairies, and this will be the top, so you guys are seeing it right side up and I'm seeing it upside down. So maybe I'll flip it around and see what I think. Ugh. There's still areas that I just feel like they need just a touch, which means, you know, makes it really easy for me to get carried away and do more than a touch, but we'll try. I am actually going to try to transfer some paint. So there's still a lot of paint on this canvas. I'm going to come over here. My goal is to add a little white, which it did, not very much. No, it was this one. I just feel like there's two kisses right there. So this one and this one, and they're so similar. They just need a little something to divide it up, but I don't think I'm going to do much of anything except add some itty bitty little baby ones. There we go. Am I getting carried away, guys? Have I gone too far? That one's losing all definition, so I better leave that one alone. Oh, there we go. Oh, that one's pretty. Pretty, pretty. All right, I could do this all day, guys. I really could. But I think if I go much farther, it's gonna be too much. So I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna take some pictures, and I'm gonna follow my own advice and look at this through a screen before I do anything else, because I think I'm done. And I think my favorite section is right here. So pretty. Although this is good too. So maybe it's the bottom half. Maybe I should have added another line of the swipe color so that you get more of that darkness on the bottom or the top half to tie it all together. Although I don't know, I kind of like the light to dark too. So we'll see. I'm going to take some pictures and I should be done, and I will post the pictures at the end of this video. If you haven't subscribed already, but you're liking what you see, I would so appreciate it if you would just hit the subscribe button and then the little bell so you get notifications when I post new videos. If you've already subscribed, thank you so very much. It means the world to me. I'm so grateful to have you guys joining me on my art journey. This is my art therapy as I work my way through quarantine and isolation and not working. This is what I'm doing to get me through that. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you on the next one.